Forest resources and regulation explained in 5 minutes. Forest in the United States provides many valuable industrial resources, the most prominent being lumber for construction and woodworking. In 2011 alone, 33 billion board feet of lumber were produced in the United States. 1 board foot of lumber represents a single piece of wood 12 inches by 12 inches by 1 inch, meaning that the total volume of the 2011 harvest is equivalent to roughly 31,152 Olympic-sized swimming pools, or a single 2x4 that is more than 9.3 million miles long and would reach to the moon and back more than 40 times. The majority of lumber is produced in either the Pacific Northwest or the South and is used for construction of houses, buildings, and home remodeling. The remaining harvest is used in industries such as furniture production, paper, packaging, and shipping. Arguably the most important resource provided by forests, though, is its array of ecosystem services, defined as the important benefits for human beings that arise from healthy, functioning ecosystems. These services include oxygen production, nutrient cycling, climate regulation, erosion control, waste control, biodiversity, soil formation, water filtration, and aesthetic beauty. Forests have not only industrial and ecological uses, but also recreational uses. Activities like hiking, backpacking, biking, and camping are some of the most popular uses of federal forests, excluding, of course, the over 700,000 cannabis plants found on national forest land. We're looking at you, Kentucky. In all seriousness, though, there are numerous proven physical and mental health benefits of spending time outdoors in places of natural beauty. The Forest Agency of Japan has even designated 48 forest therapy trails, which have been shown by extensive research to lower stress, blood pressure, and anxiety of test subjects who visited them. Forests are clearly very important to us humans here on Earth, so then the natural question arises, how are these valuable forest resources protected from misuse, deforestation, and in general poor management? This is where it starts to get complicated. 28% of land in the United States is federally owned, roughly 40% of which is forested. This is roughly 251 million acres of federal public forest. Of these federal lands, 96% is owned by either the Department of the Interior or the Department of Agriculture. Land managed by the Department of Interior is distributed between 3 agencies: the Fish and Wildlife Service, the National Park Service, and the Bureau of Land Management. The BLM owns about 1/3 of public lands in the U.S., about 55 million of which is forested. Much of the resources on these lands are utilized for mining, grazing, and logging, although some land is set aside for recreation and conservation purposes, such as national conservation areas. The National Park Service, also an agency within the Department of the Interior, primarily manages national parks and national preserves. National parks have rigorous protection standards that focus largely on making places of exceptional natural beauty accessible to the general public, not just those who can hike for days and days or even hike at all. National preserves are similar to national parks, with the exception that hunting, fishing, and some resource extraction is allowed. Many parks and preserves encompass some of the most pristine old-growth forests in the country, such as Redwood and Olympic National Parks, or the biggest of them all, Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, which stretches across 13.2 million acres of remote Alaskan landscape. The third agency within the Department of the Interior, the Fish and Wildlife Service, is responsible for managing national wildlife refuges. National wildlife refuges focus especially on conserving the flora and fauna in sensitive areas. The majority of the remainder of public land is owned by the National Forest Service, part of the Department of Agriculture. National forests encompass just under 200 million acres of forest, with a focus primarily on sustainable land management and logging. The forestry program, followed by all federal agencies, and this includes the BLM, focuses less on timber extraction and more on the health of forest ecosystems, fire management, and disease prevention. These protected forests are still utilized for logging and other industrial purposes, but in conjunction with recreational use and conserving ecological health. To review, public forests in the United States are owned and managed by either the Department of the Interior or the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Interior comprises of the Fish and Wildlife Service, which operates national wildlife refuges, the National Park Service, which operates national parks and preserves, and the Bureau of Land Management. The U.S. Forest Service, part of the Department of Agriculture, manages national forests. There are just a few more miscellaneous designations for particularly unique forests that require special protection. National monuments are one such type and can be found in and managed by any of the previously mentioned government agencies, including the Fish and Wildlife Service, National Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, or the U.S. Forest Service. There are 2 forested national monuments in the United States: Muir Woods and Giant Sequoia National Monuments, known for their really big trees. And for the final designation, national wilderness areas, which are some of the most heavily protected areas in the country. Roads, buildings, motor vehicles, and even power equipment such as chainsaws are prohibited in these areas. Recreation in wilderness areas is limited to travel by foot, and leave-no-trace principles are heavily encouraged. To review again, national monuments can be operated by any of the 4 agencies. National wilderness can also be designated on any of these previously designated lands. The wilderness areas, national monuments, and national conservation areas managed by the BLM are classified under the National Landscape Conservation System. Despite the large percentage of forests owned publicly, the majority of forests is actually owned privately. Private forest management can be classified into 2 subgroups by their use, either industrial or recreational. Though it might seem that these 2 classes of private forest management are at odds with each other, there are many examples of the 2 interests coexisting in the development of management plans that can not only promote ecosystem environmental health, but also provide valuable income from the resources available on the land, especially timber products. The Appalachian Mountain Club, the Nature Conservancy, and the Conservation Forestry are all examples of groups that promote sustainable forestry practices while maintaining the health of entire ecosystems across property lines. This way, private forest owners are able to maintain the health of forest ecosystems while still allowing for themselves or others to profit from available timber. For our final diagram, aside from public forests is private forest, all of which provides ecosystem services. Some private forests can be used industrially for resource extraction, along with parts of national forest and BLM land, as well as national preserves. Other private lands are used recreationally, along with much of federal land. Thanks for watching.